report, which states that there was a gunshot wound in Mr. Foster's neck, falsely reporting that the 35mm photographs were underexposed, concealing that Polaroid photographs vanished, and concealing that autopsy x-rays had in fact been taken. That in the U.S. Park Police report, Dr. Beyer discussed the existence of x-rays. That the technician who installed the x-ray machine said that it was in good working condition. But the Fisk report stated that the x-ray machine was inoperable at the time of Foster's autopsy, and as a result, no x-rays were taken. The sequence is crystal clear. In his notebook, Detective Rollo writes, "Dead body, Fort Marcy, warm sunny day." His handwritten notes also indicate that he called the Secret Service at the White House at 6:45 p.m. 20 minutes later at 7:05 p.m., Secret Service logs show that Patsy Thomason checked into the offices of administration where Vince Foster's office was. Foster had kept important documents on Whitewater and other matters in his safe, and a short time later, a group from the Technical Security Division was logged in with her. They were experts in locks and safes. Trooper Roger Perry was on duty at the guard shack of the Arkansas Governor's Mansion when a call came through from the White House. Trooper Larry Patterson tells the story.
I had just gotten off work, had driven from State Police Headquarters to my apartment complex. Arrived home no later than 5 p.m. When I was just inside my apartment. I had not taken off my uniform. I had not gotten a Coke or a glass of water or something out of the refrigerator. I was in my apartment looking at my mail, getting ready to undress. The phone rang. I pick it up. It's Roger Perry. He said, "Larry, you will not believe what just happened." He said, "Helen Dickey just called from the White House and said that Vince Foster had just gotten off work, walked out in the parking lot, and shot himself in the head." So this was the latest, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, Washington, D.C. time.
Perry relayed the message to Governor Jim Guy Tucker. He also called Lynn Davis, the former commander of the Arkansas State Police. 4 men in Little Rock knew about the death of Vincent Foster before 6 p.m. Washington time, at least 15 minutes before the Park Police discovered the body in Fort Marcy Park. President Clinton appeared on Larry King Live at 9 p.m. It was being broadcast in the library of the White House. About 20 minutes before he went on the air, a CNN makeup artist was preparing the president for his television appearance when a man walked in and announced that a note had been found in Vince Foster's office. So the White House Secret Service, Chelsea's nanny, and 3 troopers in Arkansas had known for several hours, but Bill Clinton went on Larry King as if he knew nothing of Foster's death. At the time of Vince Foster's death, Hillary Clinton was in Los Angeles. As the LA Times reported, she cut her trip short and flew to Little Rock the day of his death. No reason was given as to the sudden change of schedule. Former FBI Director William Sessions stated that the Foster case had been compromised from the beginning. It was compromised when the White House took control of the FBI by firing Sessions the day before Foster's death. Gerald Parks was a Little Rock private investigator who became deeply enmeshed in the Clinton political machine. He later became head of security for the Clinton-Gore National Campaign headquarters in Little Rock. Later, during the early stages of the presidential campaign, Parks claimed to have made at least 2 trips to the airport near Mena, Arkansas. He said that Vince Foster had paid him $1,000 cash for each trip. He would pick up a trunk load of money from the Mena airport and deliver the money to Vince in the Kmart parking lot. Jerry's wife, Jane, was the manager of an apartment complex where Bill Clinton's brother Roger was living. Many times the governor would appear and indulge in marijuana and cocaine with his brother. Girls as young as 17 or 18 years of age were sometimes there to party with the Clinton brothers. When Jane told her husband about the goings-on in Roger Clinton's apartment, he began to write down names, dates, and license plates. He snapped photos from another balcony. Over a period of time, Parks had collected a thick dossier on the comings and goings of Bill Clinton. Jane Parks revealed that her husband had carried out sensitive assignments for the Clinton circle for almost a decade, and the person who gave him his instructions was Vince Foster. Foster had called the Parks home more than 100 times, identifying himself with the code name the Congressman. By the late 1980s, Vince trusted Parks enough to ask him to perform discreet surveillance on the governor. He needed it for Hillary, because she wanted to gauge exactly how vulnerable her husband would be to charges of philandering if he decided to launch a bid for the presidency. Jane claims that about a week before his death, Vince Foster telephoned her husband. Hillary was worried that there might be something in the files that could cause damage to Bill or herself. Jerry told Vince Foster that there was indeed plenty to hurt both of them. But you can't give her those files. That was the agreement. A few days later, Foster again called the Parks residence. He was calling from a payphone. He said he was going to meet Hillary at the flat, and he was going to give her the files. Parks then said, "You can't give Hillary those files. She's capable of doing anything." 2 days later, Vince Foster was dead. When he learned of Foster's death, Jerry Parks told his wife, "I'm a dead man." For the next 2 months, he was in a state of fear. He would carry a pistol to fetch the mail. On his way to the office, he would double back or take strange routes. 2 months later, on a Sunday afternoon, Jerry had dinner at El Chico Mexican restaurant. On the way back, a car pulled up beside him and shot and killed him with a 9mm handgun at point-blank range. His home was broken into before he was murdered. The only thing taken from his home was the files he had on Clinton's activities. Trooper Ferguson's ex-wife, Kathy, was to be one of the key witnesses for the prosecution in the Paula Jones case, and had been openly vocal about her belief in Paula's testimony. 4 days after Paula Jones filed her lawsuit against Bill Clinton, Kathy Ferguson was found dead of a gunshot wound to the head. Her death was ruled a suicide. The following is an affidavit of Sherry Butler, who was one of Kathy's best friends. Quote, "Kathy Ferguson had been a friend of mine from 1991 to 1994, and on occasion had mentioned that while attending functions at the governor's mansion, then Governor Bill Clinton had cornered her in the kitchen of the mansion and pinned her to the counter. Shortly before her death, Kathy stated that what Paula Corbin Jones was saying about Clinton was the truth, and, quote, I wouldn't put anything past Bill Clinton, unquote. Kathy Ferguson had been a nurse, and a number of medical personnel attended her open casket funeral. Her autopsy report had placed the fatal bullet's entrance wound at the right temple, with the exit wound at the left temple, making it a possible suicide. However, at the funeral home, 3 nurses, an RN, and 2 LPNs decided to make a careful examination of the wound. Yet none of them saw any wound at the left temple. What they did see looked to be a large, blown-out exit wound in the right temple. This puzzled them, because they knew Ferguson was right-handed. This prompted them to look for an entrance wound on the left side. One of